Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video would be for a few categories of people. So now, if you are trying to migrate from any part of the world to the UK, or you are already migrated in the UK, you are experiencing life and you just want to hear me share my experiences, maybe to motivate you, to inspire you, or you have just arrived on the streets of YouTube and you just want to find something to binge watch, then I would say stay around because you might just learn a thing or two, either for yourself, for your family members, or for your friends, or for your future generation. Who knows? I'm gonna try to keep this video really short because I don't want to bore you guys. I would really appreciate if you can like, comment, most importantly subscribe. It will be really nice if you can stick to the end, so it helps grow my YouTube channel, and it hurts if you don't. So if you don't want to see a girl cry, just subscribe and stay till the end. Okay, let's get right into it. So yeah, I think the first thing I should talk about is how I got here, the background gist. So back in 2019, after I had finished my internship and I had gotten licensed to practice radiography in Nigeria. By the way, I'm a radiographer. I'm a diagnostic radiographer, which means I can use some equipment to see the internal parts of you. I can see your broken hearts. I can see your organs. I can see the shittiness in your digestive tract. I can see the blood flowing through your veins. Yeah, I just digressed. So yeah, in 2019, after I had gotten my license, I submitted my license together with some other certificates that I had gotten during internship with my degree certificate to a regulatory body in the UK, which is called the Health and Care Professional Council, HCPC. So HCPC, I believe, regulates a lot of allied healthcare professionals, including radiography. So what they did at the time was scrutinize my documents, and after they found me worthy, yeah, they have to find you worthy. Right now, I think there's a bit of changes to the process. So yeah, you might want to do your research if you want to, follow the pathway that I did. So after I got the license from the HCPC, which I paid for, I was then eligible to apply for jobs, which I found on a website called jobs or trackjobs.com. It's a website where UK employers, healthcare employers, would usually upload their job vacancies, and you can view that from any part of the world and you can apply for as many as you want. So between the 2019 ending, 2020 and 2021, I was applying for jobs. And what this means is if you are successful at any job application, they would give you or grant you a job interview invite. If you were successful at the invite, they would then talk you through the relocation process. So that didn't happen for me until 2021 August, when I had an interview with my employer, whom I'm still working with, and they said yes to me, and they then gracefully offered to grant me a relocation package, which included my flight ticket being paid for, accommodation on arrival, which was a hotel, and then 3 months accommodations for free to enable me settle in before I start my life properly in the UK. That wasn't so long, was it? So yeah, that was a brief background gist of how I got here. So let's get into how life has been in the UK so far. So I think the first thing I should talk about is the mental adjustment you will need to do. So when I left Nigeria, I didn't think about what it would be like to live in the UK. All the idea I had in my head was I wanted to practice radiography profession in the UK because I wanted to see what it looked like outside the shores of Nigeria where I used to practice. Mind you, where I used to work was one of the top hospitals, National Hospital Abuja in Nigeria. So it's not like I was in a place where, they didn't have or they weren't doing well. They were doing okay, but I had nurtured this idea that I wanted to practice radiography in the UK since university, even since before I graduated. So it was only the dream I had, and I just needed to follow it through. So before I left, I was probably having anxiety, panic attacks, and when I arrived, it quickly dawned on me that I hadn't even taken the time to process all that I was leaving behind, particularly my support system. I don't have a lot of people around me, but I've got really strong support system, which I would say comprises of my family members, which who love me so much, my few friends, my neighbor, that I used the place I used to live in. My neighbor at the time became my sister, and we were really close. And I didn't even know how much leaving behind all of these things that I was used to, that I had access to, would impact me living in the UK. So I quickly understood that, Fatima, you have to grow up. This is not Nigeria. This is no longer a place where you have people at your beck and call. You need to make decisions for yourself. You need to navigate places. So I would say, if you're not already used to researching using your search engines like your Opera, your Safari, or your Chrome, if you're not already familiar with your Google Map, this is the time before you migrate to start looking at those things and getting familiar. Because when you arrive here, my darlings, you are going to need to grow up. You are going to need to adjust your mentality, because this is a whole new place. You have packed your things into a few boxes, and you've managed to fly across the continents, across rivers, maybe oceans, whatever it is you flew across. Yeah, to get to the UK, it is a huge change that can impact you in several ways. So mentally adjusting your mindset to sort of open yourself up, your mind, body, and spirit, to start living and start accepting of this new environment you have just moved into, I think is the first thing I had to adjust with myself. So the second thing I would talk about, which is like everybody would know this, is the cultural difference. So before I came to the UK, I probably did not take note of the fact that, Fatima, you are someone who does not particularly like crowd, or you have never been outside of Nigeria before. Other than the TV where I see the British people, I had never lived in their midst. So when I arrived, I quickly noticed the variations of races, different people around me. And I think the way my brain responded to that, particularly when I started working and I started seeing all of those people around me that I was not familiar, I wasn't used to seeing, the way my brain responded was shutting down. I became really quiet. And I think the first few months to a year of my working in this environment, they thought of me as a quiet person. I am not particularly quiet. If I am used to you, if I'm familiar with you, I can be a podcast. I can talk, and you might already be able to tell from this video. So the way I responded to that was I became really quiet. I became really timid. I was really shy. And that impacted my relationship, particularly with my colleagues, with people that I worked with, because I came here for a job, and the highlight for like about an year was me going to work. I didn't have any other thing to do. I wasn't in a university or schooling to have, classmates or classmates to deal with. I was dealing with patients, I was dealing with colleagues, and I shut down, I froze at this. So when you arrived, you would quickly notice the many, many ways around you. And if you're not already used to dealing with people from different backgrounds, you're kind of going to struggle a little bit, but you will be fine, because I am fine right now. So I quickly understood that there are so many people from different places, different culture, coming together in one space. You're going to learn how to speak to people. You're Nigerianness, and this is not me saying you have to strip off your originality to fit into a space, but if you know, or if you have a Nigerian in your space, in your corner, you know how we can be. Sometimes we are labeled wrongly, and I'll talk about that maybe in this video or some other video. It can be quite disheartening when people who don't really understand where you're coming from, what you are in your originality, label you in a very, very not so nice way. So yeah, if you are here, you might just need to do a little bit of adjustment, learning about these people. I would say be like a baby, be like a sponge. You know, babies, when they are born, they are not able to talk, but in that stage, they are able to absorb a lot. They are able to learn a lot. So learn a lot from your colleagues, learn a lot from the people who are around you. That will enable you understand the mindsets of people, the way they talk, the way they want things done, because you need to get along. Yeah. So the other thing I would talk about when it comes to cultural difference, I think I had to adjust myself with, is the food and kind of dining. So you may already know the British breakfast, English breakfast is a thing. But prior to moving here, I didn't really pay attention to that, because I'm like, I like my breakfast heavy sometimes, you know, even though I might not eat breakfast. But whenever I do want to eat in the morning, I like something pretty, you know, heavy, not like the regular, you know, toast with maybe jam or cream, or what is it that they have, the scrambled eggs and all of that. So it was kind of new to me, and I was like, okay. I remember the hotel we were lodged in, they pretty much had this buffet of English breakfast every single day, and in my head I was searching for, where are the Nigerian foods? Where are the, you know, things that I was familiar with? So you would probably also, you know, notice this. And fish and chips. Yeah, I never really knew fish and chips was a big deal in the UK until I moved here. In Nigeria, of course, you would eat, you know, chips with maybe eggs or maybe fish, but it wasn't like fish and chips is a big deal here. And also I think the whole you know, when they refer to lunch, what we call as lunch as tea, no, it's dinner. Okay, yeah, they refer to dinner as tea, and I'm like, what do you mean tea? You know, things like that. And when they would ask you questions like, are you all right? And I'm like, am I all right? What do you mean if I'm all right? I'm particularly, because in Nigeria, when you start asking people, are you all right? You do okay. It's like something is wrong with you, and they're just trying to check you to know that, you know, everything is good with you. So yeah. And the other thing I found really strange at first was the humor. I think the humor, sometimes the British people, when they try to be funny, it can be really dry and sarcastic and weird. So I think it's also like, how would I say that, it's also like a way that they communicate some of the things that they deeply feel in their hearts, if you get what I mean. So if you pay attention to the humor, you might be able to learn a thing or two of what you're doing wrong, particularly at work, that people are not telling you, you know, straight up. That takes me to the other thing. British people are very, very polite people. They love politeness. They are conserved. They are diplomatic. It is very hard for you to get a British person who would be direct and confrontational, like probably a Nigerian would. Nigerians, if we have issues with you, we will open our hearts, you know, with our full chest. This is what it is. How are we going to move on from this? But a British person might find a way to communicate all of that to you, wrapping it in a very nice, fancy, decorating paper, in a way that even if there are insults in that package, by the time it lands on you that it's an insult, you may have, you know, moved away, or it's been days, you know, when you're reprocessing, and you'll be like, hold on, was that really an insult? Was I just insulted, or was I not? Yeah, probably you may have been insulted, but you know, it's past now, so move along, okay? But yeah, Just some like, experiences with the cultural differences that I can mention or I can think about right now. You can feel free to share yours in the comment section, and let's just, share how we felt, the first times we arrived, what was really shocking to you, and what were you already used to, stuff like that. So let's go on to the next point. Talking about the challenges I have faced in the UK so far, I think I would start with work. So when I arrived, like you already know, I came here to do a job. I quickly understood, because I froze, by the way. But then I quickly understood that the way that they did things were not very similar or not very the same as some of the things I used to do in Nigeria. And there were many expectations that I felt I needed to meet up with. And yeah, it just kind of, in that phase, it just kind of felt like I had a lot of questions. Am I mediocre? Am I not as smart as I thought I was? Why am I even here? I didn't feel like I belonged. I felt like something was wrong with my voice. I wasn't speaking like, they wanted me to. I felt like they couldn't hear me. I felt like I needed to be quiet. I felt like, I didn't look like the people around me. I was timid. I was shy. I struggled. But one thing I want you to know, if you're in that phase that I was 3 years ago when I came here, I want you to know that you are not a fraud. I want you to know that there is nothing wrong with you. I want you to know that there is nothing wrong retaining your originality. And I have heard Indians speak. I have heard different nationals speak, and they have accents. If you are in the UK, even within the UK, there are varying accents, and people manage to communicate and understand one another, so you will be understood. And I want you to know, even if you look around you and you do not see people who look like you, there is nothing wrong with that. Maintain your trueness, your originality, your personality. It's okay if you have to let the environment get through you, pass through you, rub off on you. It's okay to allow that, because at the end of the day, you are here to do something for a purpose. You have to get along with the people you are going to be working with. You have to be able to communicate very well, smoothly with your patients. If you're like me, working in a hospital, so it's okay to allow the environment to pass through you, to rub off on you. But I wouldn't want you to judge yourself so much that you begin to lose your trueness, your originality. I wouldn't want you to crucify yourself. I want you to understand that this is a phase, and as much as things don't look familiar, as much as you do not seem to understand what's happening, give it time, pay attention, look closely at what they are doing. And when you go back home, you may just need to do a lot of readings, because I did that a lot. I would spend my time at home, studying again, reviewing my past notes, consulting YouTube and Google, because I needed to measure up. So the other thing I will talk about that I struggled with was the loneliness. As someone who is slightly introverted and extroverted, I didn't struggle with loneliness in Nigeria. Like I said, I lived in a small place and I had my neighbors. I had people in my estates that I was cool with. If I ever felt like I needed someone to talk to, there were pretty much people who I could reach out to in my estate that became brothers or friends that I could talk to. And my neighbor was always there. I'm in her space, watching movies or eating her food, just, having a really nice life, laugh, or a company. But here in the UK, it is a place where even if you are someone who doesn't even like talking to people where you come from, because in Africa, even if you don't talk to people, people will likely talk to you. It's not something you can control. When you go to work and you want to just stay in your zone, people will come talk to you. But chances are that if you're that kind of a person here in the UK, people won't talk to you and you won't talk to people. It can be really lonely. You could live in a flat and you don't know who is your next door neighbor. If you need to get help, please do For me, what worked was my family members, being able to call back home, video call, being able to be on a voice call with them, a few friends that I could share my experience with. I could spend hours and hours on the phone with my family, or with a friend. That really kept me going. Another way you could deal with this is to find a community. There are several communities you could find on Facebook, on Instagram, even on TikTok or Telegrams that you could be a part of, and they could invite you for hangouts here and there, particularly in the summer. Or even if you don't hang out with them, they could just be there for you to sort of talk to if you do need it. And if it's that serious, please do not hesitate to seek professional help. Okay, still on challenges, I would say the other area where I felt really impacted was my faith, spirituality. As a Muslim who has lived in Nigeria, you would probably agree with me that the environment kind of contributes to your spirituality. Now, when you are living in Nigeria, the house I grew up in, there are mosques surrounding my house. So at a particular time for prayer, you have like several mosques calling to prayer. You have family members who are getting up to go and pray. You have at work friends who are saying, it's time for prayer, I'm going to pray. You have colleagues who are not Muslims, but they understand that you are a Muslim and you've got to go pray, and they give you the allowance to go pray. But coming to the UK, you could stay your life and you will still not hear call to prayer if you are living in an environment that you don't even have so many Muslims around you. Ramadan can be really tough. It was tough. My first Ramadan was really during summer. It was lengthy. I think it was the longest hours I had ever fasted in my life. At some point I was contemplating, am I not going to just stop? I just keep it between myself and God. But yeah, I did get through my first Ramadan. It started really early. Sahur was around 2 a.m. sometimes, 3 a.m. sometimes, and it's ending around 9 o'clock, sometimes past 9. And I felt like sometimes I wasn't even having anything for sahur because I wasn't comfortable eating so much very early in the morning, and I still needed to be up around say 5 o'clock or 5:30 to prepare for work, and it was just a lot. And salat wise, when you are at work or when I am at work, I just felt really shy always saying, can I go and pray? Even though some of my colleagues are really understanding, they would let me go when I say, oh please, can I just get away and observe my prayers? They would get away. But when I arrived the first few months and even till now, it's still a struggle. What I have learned to do is, let's say it's almost time for Zuhur, I would sneak into the toilet and perform ablution. And when it's time for Zuhur, I'm just saying, oh, can I just, go do something else or go get a coffee, and I'll just nip into an office or a space where I used to pray and just observe my prayer. So if you are feeling shy to ask your colleagues to excuse you to go pray, or you have colleagues who are not very understanding, you might just want to use this trick so they don't see you asking to go pray 5 times in a day. You might just have to ask properly once a day, but the rest of the time you have performed your ablution at a different time, and then you use the excuse like you want to nip to the loo, or you want to go get coffee, or you just want to break to go take a walk, and then you use 5 minutes to observe your prayer and go back. Yeah, I'm not trying to teach you bad things or how to lie, but we've got to survive. Okay, yeah, those were the challenges I think I faced. Loneliness with my spirituality, which I still struggle with. There is no form of encouragement here that I am getting. Where I live is quite different. If you live in areas like Manchester, like London, where there are heavy Islamic community, also Birmingham, this might not be a thing for you, but it is a thing for me here where I live. It's not like there are no Muslims here. There are Muslims here. It's just that I don't just feel the way I used to feel in Nigeria, if you get what I mean. So yeah, those were the few challenges I think I faced as someone who came here. So the next point I would like to talk about are some of the opportunities that I had here in the UK. I would say it varies. If you have come here through the same pathway that I have, I would say you have come here as a full-time employee working for an employer. That's quite good because you have, like me, I do ordinarily I should do about 37.5 hours every week. That allows you to earn something significant to take care of your bills. One of the things I also had to mentally adjust to was paying my bills monthly. In Nigeria, or if you're in Africa, some parts of Africa, your bills like a rent would be paid annually, which is quite convenient, because once you pay in a year, you don't have to worry about giving something out every month to your landlord until the next time next year. So yeah, here we have to do monthly payments. We've got to do rent, electricity, water, council tax, and some other bills, your network or your data bill. All of that has to be done monthly. And if you are not here on a full-time job, that can be quite hard. I understand if you are here as a student, you've got only 20 hours to work per week, and that is if you get a job immediately. So I would say there are several opportunities out there. If you are open to doing something legit, you would find jobs that are really awkward, things that you might not particularly do in your country, but you have to do them here. They might not be the fanciest jobs, they might not be the most easy job to do, but what I would say, it's an end to a means. It's a means to an end. It's a means to an end. So don't see it as something that demeans you or something that puts you a level below what you're used to. Just see it as something you have to get done to get you by this phase that you are in. I had the opportunity to start my master's after I arrived here. I think 5 months after I arrived in the UK, I had the opportunity to start my master's because a university gave me an opportunity to pay for the master's tuition fee every 4 months, which means I did 6 payments for 2 years. Which is something I am grateful for. If you are in Nigeria trying to access such opportunity, it might be a struggle for you. Other opportunities you might find interesting. If you're a content creator, there are so many beautiful places you could visit for your content creating that are aesthetic. You have the opportunity to travel places if you want. You have opportunities to sort of be independent. I would say financially independent, emotionally independent, I would say, because honestly, you're going to, if you've arrived as a single person, you're going to be making decisions by yourself. You're going to learn how to budget. You're going to learn the system of taxing. You're going to understand all of these things and how they can work for you. One thing I would say is that the opportunities you might be open to here in the UK, it's different for different people. So some people who have come via a particular route will be exposed to a bunch of opportunities that another person who's come through a different route might not be exposed to. So it's important, however you have arrived, to explore the opportunities that you probably can get here in the UK before you start thinking about, oh, I want another or a 360 or 180 career change. You might just be able to find something that you can do to earn you some money to help you stabilize before you start thinking of how to change your career or to do anything that you'd have to spend more money in. Okay, so what else should I talk about in these opportunities that I was exposed to? I think that's fairly it. It might be different for you, but yeah, those were the few things I was opportune to experience here. I think the other thing, yeah, I love the food, particularly the fruits. There are so many options. I love right now pomegranate. It's my new favorite fruit. I used to be a lover of pineapple, grapes, but I think about last year up until this year, I have fallen in love with pomegranates. I've fallen in love with plums, which you would find in your home country, by the way, but probably very, 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 very expensive. But here, we can buy it for a few pounds, which will not make you break the bank and all of that. So I do appreciate that. Alhamdulillah is one of the things that I'm grateful for. I'm also grateful for what else am I grateful for? I'm just grateful for how much I have grown, how much I have become really independent, looking out for myself, making decisions that I know my parents will be proud of. Yeah, I'm still not as rich as I would like to be. I will get there. I will get there. We will all get there, by the way. So let's move along. It's almost getting to 20 minutes and I don't want it to be too long. The last thing I think I should talk about is maybe give advice for people who either are in the face of migrating, or they are still looking for a way to open up for them to migrate, or you might already be here and you could be struggling, or things might just be going well and you just want to hear someone else talk about their experience. So if you're in a phase of looking for a way to get out of wherever you are and it's taken a while, I would say look at me for an example. It took me about 2 years before I got an employer who then said yes to me. You have got to be patient. You have got to persevere. You have got to remind yourself all the time why you want to do this. And just not be so hard on yourself. And I have this principle: if you are looking for something for too long that is not happening, you might just want to look elsewhere, because in looking elsewhere you might end up finding what you were looking for in the other place. That's something that has happened to me a few times, particularly even when, before I got this job, I had tried for about 2 years, and at some point in 2021, I think after my birthday in July, I had told myself, you know what, Fatima, it might just be time for you to look elsewhere, to look at opportunities that might be there for you in Nigeria. And I did get some other jobs coupled with the job in the UK, and I opted to come for the job in the UK. So that happens a lot. Just take it easy with yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. If you are in a phase where you have gotten an opportunity, you are about to leave, I would say do your research. Research about even the mundane things, research about the tiniest things, familiarize yourself with some processes that you can. Most importantly, sort out where you're going to live when you arrive here in the UK, because you don't want to be here and homeless. That's something I think it would really impact your experience as you arrive here if you end up homeless, or you end up not knowing where to go, or someone has failed you. So ensure you do your research, you get all your facts right, you sort out your accommodation, you sort out how to transport yourself from the airport if you're most likely arriving at Heathrow. If you're arriving at Heathrow, you need to move from Heathrow to wherever you're going, or you might need a connecting flight to wherever you're going in the UK. So get all that sorted, and ensure, even though nobody can truly ever prepare you completely for what your experience will be here in the UK, I want you to know that it is doable. It might be tough in the beginning, but at the end, you will just be fine. Take one day at a time. Write down why you are coming here. Write down your goals for the next 5 years in the UK. Write down the targets you are looking to hit when you arrive, because when things get tough, when things get rough, looking in your journal and sort of reminding yourself why you decided to make this decision to migrate in the first place can just be a mental shift that you need, or the adjustment you need to keep going. Okay, and if you are here already, you're struggling, I would say don't worry. It might seem cloudy, the storm never lasts. It's definitely gonna shine again, and over time you're going to start feeling like you can breathe. The anxiety is going away. You no longer feel tensed around the people you're with. You can go out and be yourself. You're navigating places by yourself. You do no longer need your Google map in your environment anymore. Take it one day at a time. Don't rush. You are not in competition with anyone. This is not a competition with maybe a colleague you had entered the UK with. You are on your path, you're on your journey. It's going to be different from the next person. Continue to remind yourself that you might come here and think that things are going to be served to you on a platter of gold. It is not that way. You're going to have to work for everything you make. It is important you spend at least some time to understand the system, understand how tax work, understand how the credit system work. Don't get yourself swamped in debt. Don't evade tax or try to run away from tax. Stay out of trouble. Understand that you are an immigrant in this country. You are learning to find your space, to find where to put your feet, to stand properly. So take one step at a time. Don't be in any competition to be on mortgage or to buy a car. I still haven't gotten a mortgage. I still don't have a car. It's been 3 years. Are there people who have these things in 3 years? Maybe yes. Are there people who, like me, who still don't? Yeah, but I'm not in any rush. You shouldn't be in any rush because I did not come here with anybody on anybody's timeline. I am here on my timeline. And when things are meant to happen by the will of Allah, they will happen. Trust in God. Be prayerful. And look after yourself. Look after yourself. There is a system here where you could end up working. Don't do that. Don't get burnt out. If you feel like you need to step back, please feel free and step back. Yeah, you will be fine. You can do it. You surely can. I'm not going to say it's going to be a bed full of roses, but I'm not going to say it's a bed full of thorns or it's a path full of thorns or a path full of roses. Your experience is highly going to be different from mine, but perhaps this video can just help you navigate your experience living in the UK. Until my next video, I would want you to like, comment, share, and please subscribe. Watch till the end. I have said that earlier. It hurts this channel if you don't watch till the end. It benefits me a lot if you stay till the end. And please share. Let's get YouTube to recommend this video to as many people as possible. Please stay well. Until next time.